Good morning and welcome everyone. I'm Jean with Captain Stitches, and this is Friday morning Stitch Tips and Chat. Welcome everyone. It is great to see the early birds that were in the chat again this morning. Michelle's Crafts and More was there before anyone else. Danielle, dear daughter Danielle, is here. Good morning to you. Christine Wolf is maybe here. She says that good morning, not sure how long I can stay, expecting a phone call, but I see that little hand waving again down there. Debbie, dear Debbie, my dear sister Debbie will be in her car listening. All right. Just be safe if you're the one driving. And June Hanson is here this morning. Good morning to you, June. Always great to see you. Katie Crafts is here this morning. Welcome, welcome. And yes, Christine is here, and there is Andrea. I was going to say chopping on. No, she's dropping on. But good morning, everyone. Well, thank you. It's a blouse and a sweater, Danielle. Thank you very much. Haven't worn this for a while. It's kind of a little on the dressy side, so it has a tendency to hang in the closet more since I don't go anywhere anymore. But brought it out this morning because it's just a little chilly in the cottage yet this morning. Needed a sweater. Denise is here. Welcome to you. Good morning, Carol. Always great to see Carol. All right, I think I have caught everyone that is in the chat so far this morning, but as noted in the title description for this, I will be working on a quilt for charity, for breast cancer charity this morning. The name of it is A Quilt for the Cure. It's Mothers and Daughters, A Quilt for the Cure. And I'm going to give a little description about that in just a little bit, but that is the quilt that I will be piecing on while we are chatting. And then I also have this great big pile over here that is the next number that I pulled out of my works in progress inventory to start working on. And it's a rather interesting quilt. So I wanted to share some of that with you so you can see what I'll be working on in the next coming few. It'll probably take a couple weeks. Let's just say that. It's a lot of pieces to that one. But because I finished cheese and crackers so quickly, I was able to pull another project out of the works in progress to try and get done. Trying to stay ahead on those, get some done so I can make room for other things. Elaine, 3 Patches of Time is here. Good morning to you, and I believe you must be new. Or you've just been lurking and I haven't seen you in the chat before. That does happen. So I apologize if you've been here or if I just don't remember seeing you before. But welcome, welcome. And Andrea says she's sorry she missed the Zoom yesterday. I had a very long and frustrating date with Jack all afternoon. Oh, aren't those just the worst dates, Andrea? I understand. And no problem. You know those Zooms are just, something special, and they're a perk for the members of my channel in case you aren't aware what she's talking about. But that was yesterday, and we always have a great time in there. But anyway, there is, and I wanted to show you this. We'll hold it up right here for now. I'll show that a little later too. But that is the quilt that I am working on. It is an older project, one from 2006. So finally getting around to making that. I've had several ones for breast cancer that I've worked on through the years, and that's just a little kit that I had. So I pulled that out and decided that I need another quilt to have on hand for breast cancer. But I wanted to read you what the designer of this pattern says about this quilt and the reasons and her feelings about this quilt that she designed, which is again called Mothers and Daughters, a Quilt for the Cure. And this is the designer's words. It says, "This quilt holds a special place in my heart. I wanted to create a quilt design that I could put in pattern form to sell to the quilting world and in return donate the profits to breast cancer research groups. You see, my own dear mom is battling breast cancer for the second time in her life, and this time it's stage 4. She's doing okay right now, just working on a few minor setbacks in her treatment. She first had breast cancer when I was about 16 years old, but now with this second battle, it's hitting me harder and seems closer to home than it did before when I was so young. I think at 16, you never think it's that bad or that it will just go away. But today, at the age of 33, I realize just how deadly this disease can be. So here's to you, Mom, and all the other women and men battling this disease. This pattern also goes out to all of us who have ever in any way been affected by this disease. I hope you join me by doing everything we can to support breast cancer research." And I thought that was very interesting and great that she included that in there so we have a little idea of the reason behind the pattern and the quilt. But and I also wanted to mention that besides this being a pattern that was designed specifically for breast cancer, I am also, the fabrics that I'm using in this are from Collections for a Cause, and it is a collection by Henry Glass. So both have to do with the um, funds going back to cancer research. But that's just a little background on that quilt that I am working on this morning. And let me make sure that I haven't missed any other things. We'll catch up before I get started here. I had my quilt top all put together and hung it to take pictures with and discovered I had 4 rows upside down and in the reverse order. Oh no. So I had to rip out 28 blocks in sashing to get it right. Oh, I'm sorry, Andrea. Now it's right and put back together. So I am putting final borders on. Awesome, awesome. When I find, something like that, a mistake like that, I'm always just thankful that I caught it before I quilted it. Because yeah, once it's quilted, it's like, oh no, that would be a lot worse to try and correct. So sometimes it gets left. But anyway, I'm sorry. We've all been there. And Andrea says that is an awesome story. That is a good reason to buy the pattern. Yeah, I don't know that this pattern is still available. I would think it probably is. I will check, but it's from her company is called So Unique Creations, but the pattern is from 2006. So whether it's still available or not, I don't know. And I did not check. Yeah, yeah, hard to tell, June, whether her mother is even still around, but that is what I get for trying to sew with a migraine. Yes, Andrea, sometimes it's just better to work on something else during that. We that's when we seem to when we aren't at our best, that's when it seems that we make those mistakes. So sometimes it's better just to say, nope, now's not the time. And Danielle says, "Congrats, Andrea, on seeing that when you did. Yes, I have found that before on my hubby's couch quilt, but not until after it was quilted and bound. Yes, just like I was saying, was like, well, it's staying now. Yeah, sometimes it's just like, oh no, why didn't I catch that sooner? So yeah, be very thankful that you caught it when you did, Andrea. But I am going to, before I start working on the machine, I want to go ahead and share some of the information on the upcoming um, quilt that I will be working on. And it is a Bonnie Blue quilt. It is called Hill Country Baskets, and it is an antique reproduction quilt, which this is the pattern. As you can see, there are a lot of blocks set on point, and those blocks finish at 6 inches. So to tell you a little bit about that, there are 49 different fabrics that are in that quilt, 45 different fabrics just in the baskets alone. There are 85 6-inch blocks, 18 pieces to each block, with 1.5-inch finished half square triangles, of which there are 340 1.5-inch finished half square triangles in that quilt. There's 185 of the sashing strips with 112 cornerstones. And then there are 3 borders, which you notice there is, because it's on point, there are the set in triangles for the very first border around there. Then there is a narrow inner border and then the outer border. So a lot of piecing to that quilt. Then, of course, the fabrics are Civil War era reproduction prints. This, I will show you, this is the sashing fabric, which of course will be fussy cut so that it all ends up correctly on that. This is that narrow inner border. Yeah, 1.5 half square triangles. Oh no. I did 3/4-inch finished ones a long time gone. So this will be, yeah, that triangle, the setting triangles border will be gorgeous. Oh my, that's a lot, says June. Michelle says beautiful, but no thanks. That would drive me insane with those tiny pieces. Yeah, it'll be a lot of chain piecing, let's say, but this is my outer border. So, but those are the larger pieces. I'm going to set this off to the side up here. Mercy, mercy, mercy. But then these are, yeah, these are all the blues that will be going in there. They're fat quarters. These are all the browns. And then we have greens that will be going in there. And we have to have light, medium, and dark of all of those. So, and then these are all the red ones. But those are all the fabrics that will be going into that quilt. A lot of cutting to be done before even getting started on that quilt. But let me pick this up now and set that out of the way. But that is just to let you know what to expect coming up, that I will be working on after I am finished with the mother and daughter quilt. And I have one other charity quilt, the Hugs and Kisses, that I will be working on also first. So, and Terry Amsden, I always say that wrong. I'm sorry. I should just not even say your last name, Terry, is here. Good morning to you. And Danielle says 1.5. Nope, nope, no, thank you. Really not that bad. Give it a try. You might surprise yourself. You might find out that, like me, I have a tendency to love the challenge of working on smaller things and things with a lot of pieces. I don't know why. I just like the challenge. Keeps my mind working. That is going to be a beautiful quilt. That is going to be beautiful. I am working on a Civil War sampler quilt along with Karen Montgomery. Awesome, Terry. Yeah, I was almost came close to, well, I have a lot of Civil War era reproduction ones in my work in progress inventory. So you'll be seeing a lot of them. They are 8-inch blocks and a lot of fun to make. Awesome. 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 What are what What line of Civil War reproduction fabrics are you working with, Terry? Or are you working with more than one? And Andrea says, I love those fabrics. I guess you thought you didn't have enough challenges. LOL. Well, I have enough. It's just that that's what what was the number that was drawn on my out of my inventory. I have all the numbers. They're in a little brown paper bag. I shake it up, I pull the number out, and that is the one that is pulled to work on next. So that's what it was, which it kind of makes me happy because I haven't gotten to work on one like that for a while. So I'm trying to figure out where I want to set that so it's out of the way, but so that I can refer back to it. And I'm going to go ahead and so you can see. We're going to add that overhead in. I realize it is a little far up, but it's just so you can kind of see as I'm working with the fabrics over here on this side, and then I will turn the sewing machine camera on when I'm ready to start sewing. But and June says pretty fabrics for it. Happy cutting. Yeah, and no fabrics had to be purchased for that. Oh, those all and you can't even tell. Now, some of the fabrics, the sashing and the inner border were already there with that when I pulled it. All the rest this morning, I pulled from my stash of Civil War era reproduction quilts, yeah, reproduction fabrics. And there's only one spot that now has a little empty space in it that you can tell that I pulled fabrics from my stash. Oh, and my fat quarter drawer got a little bit more room in it, but it's still filled because it just made room for some of the others that were really, really tight in there. But so yeah, I love it when especially when there's that many fabrics and that outer border took, yeah, three yards for the outer border. So I was very fortunate that I had one that I had enough of, which the one that I'm using, I actually have 5 yards of that fabric. So, but anyway, yes, a variety from years ago. I have been collecting them for many years, just like me, Terry. Okay, you must be my sister. And Carrie Leonard is here. Good morning, Carrie. And Christine is having to go. Goodbye, Christine. Hope to chat with you later. All right. So these I have started working on some of the 9-patch blocks that are in this, and they are scrappy. So I have those. These are the strip sets that will be for the alternating block that goes along with that. I have been working on some of those, and those will get cut into the sections later. But as you see, everything is organized and contained in here, which these are the ones that are used for making those 9-patch blocks. More in there than what it looks like, but yeah, and then these will come in later, so I'm going to set those off to the side for now. I'm going to put these strips over here out of the way so will be able to use my iron to better make sure that it's back on. But I am going to be pulling, yeah, two of the pink, brown, pink. You like that? Pink, brown, pink. And one of the, make sure that I'm doing this right. Yeah. One of the brown, pink in the middle to make the 9-patch block. And we better go ahead and bring in the sewing machine also down here. So we will be able to see everything as I work this morning. But we are just going to, and because these, I've, pressed them well and they're short, I am just going to finger pin. I'm not going to pin these, but I'm going to make sure that those seams are butted up where they belong together. you can feel those. You get used to the feel and can feel, and you know that that it's there, but lost my pedal. But I just I stitch to that one, then lift it up and make sure we've got that one right where it belongs also. And because I know on the blocks that go to these, which let me refresh my memory on that, are going to be pressed towards the dark fabric on these, I am going to make sure that they are pressed in towards the brown down here, so that when it goes to sew those together, those seams are going to butt together also. And I'm just finger pressing that for right now. I'll take it over to the iron and press it after I have the whole entire block put together. Which these blocks, I'm thinking I forgot what they finish out at. 2, 4. Yeah. I think these are, yeah, I can't remember. I'm thinking of both quilts right now. I'll have to look. They might be a 4.5-inch finished block. I'm not sure. Woo. Okay. The chat just moved quickly there, I saw. So with Debbie is here this morning. Good morning, getting ready to go to a sew-in today. Oh, awesome. Have a great time, Debbie. That sounds fun. Letitia is here with us this morning. Good morning to you. Okay. So again, I want to make sure that I press that towards the center portion on there. And now I'm going to go over and press it with the iron. And you may have noticed, these aren't pinned together, but I have a pin at the top on here because it's very easy to turn these and get mixed up, and then they would not be laying right when you sew them together. So I have a pin there, and I make sure. Okay, the steam didn't stop on my stop. All right, there we go. So I make sure that I continue to lay those correctly by having that pin. I just make sure that when I lay that down there, that it is going the correct direction. So they are all the correct way when it comes to putting them together in the quilt. And I try to mix these up as best I can, but even though they're scrappy, there isn't a lot of different in here to work with. But you can't tell, didn't want to come apart there. And so there we, whoops, have another combination there to work with. And everyone's still just saying hello and good morning to everyone. I think it's going to be a little nicer day here today. I think it's supposed to get up to 70. The sun is shining. That's always nice. But these 9-patch, these are the subcuts. They were all pieced together like the strip sets that are over on the long arm behind me. That's how those all started out. I forget how many strips I had to cut from each one. And I actually ended up having to double what the cutting instructions said, because it was using the full width of the fabric, 40-inch strips, and I was using a fat quarters, so of course they were only 20 inches. So I had to make sure that I doubled the number that was always given in the cutting instructions. Five and a half more hours until I'm free from my job for the weekend. LOL. Oh, that was Danielle saying that. I'm sorry for those of you that will be watching the replay. You can't use two of the same. That wouldn't work too well. Okay, stop. End up turning the steam off on that. I know you can't hear it, but it keeps puffing the steam. Turn it down, see if it stops doing that. Okay. Sorry, concentrating there for a minute. Every once in a while, I have to do that. And there we have another one ready to go. I think it's fun working with scrappy ones. Get a lot more fabric and colors and everything going on than when it's working with all the same fabrics. And Andrea says that is what was so frustrating about yesterday's fiasco. I pinned the beginning block of each row and I still got them put together in reverse order. I need some better marking system. Oh, yeah. It, you know, it just happens. That's all I can say. Now on my rows, I always pin and with the number of the row, and I always place my pin going the direction that I need to press the seams in that row. Because it's no fun to press them all and then you get it up to add to the next row and find out that you pressed them all the wrong direction. So I always have that marked also. Let's look at it, see if I missed anything there. Nope. But so what does everyone else plan on working on today? We already know what Andrea is going to be doing. What do the rest of you have planned for the day? Debbie is going to sew in. I bet Carrie is working on dog bed blankets. See, I'm guessing some of you I have a good idea. Others I have no idea. some of you because you already, whoops, I just finger pressed that the wrong direction. You caught it. I caught it. You also want to make sure you don't turn your block the wrong way when you're pressing it. Otherwise, it doesn't do any good to have that pin marking the up and down, but you do have a chance to get to look at it once again before you add it to your stack. You should move that over a little. And I need two of these again. Oops, come here. June is working on vintage farm girl blocks. All right. And Terry is getting ready to go to the movies with fellow retirees friends. Awesome. I miss doing things like that. Yeah, that's what I figured you were doing, Carrie. She's making dog blankets for the dog shelters. And Katie Crafts is making the back for my chandelier quilt. It's a commission quilt and is very feminine. Ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I bet that is pretty. Have to check in. Let's see if you got photos someplace that I can see that, Katie. I think you're in the Facebook group. Make sure you post, those of you that are in the Facebook group, make sure that you post photos of your projects that you're working on so we can all enjoy them. You may inspire some of us. One of these days, I'm going to surprise everyone and I am going to work on a large block quilt. I don't think I have any of those in my work. It's in progress though. So that might be a while. And Carol says she is finishing Bee Farm, which Bee Farm is a beautiful counted cross stitch project that Carol is working on. And Katie says she hasn't photographed it yet. And yes, I'm in yes, I thought you were. And I know that the name is a little different and I just can't remember it right now. So many names to remember. I used to be really good at that. I used a lot of word association to remember people's names. Like when you see around to it on here, which she knows I've told her, I used to have the worst time remembering what her name was. And the way that I remember her name is by the saying, surely I'll get around to it someday because her name is Shirley. So that is how I remember her name. Oh, right. It would be nice to be able to get these done. And Gladys, the confident quilter, is here as well. Just popped in there. Okay, I don't know why I hold those way over there when I'm trying to decide. I know you can't see them there. You like that? We'll wiggle around until we Get in here and say, oh, well, looky there. We can't do that. We need to change that one. Say, that's not going to work. There we go. That's better. Glad I caught that before I stitched it together. Which I don't have dates with Jack because my seam ripper is called Josephine. So we may have coffee together frequently. Speaking of which, I need a sip of coffee. I haven't had enough coffee yet this morning. Been busy. Andrea says after she finishes up that quilt, she is going to put together 2 charity quilt tops for the Renegade group to donate to Harper Strong. They will go to Danielle to finish. Yeah, I hear that, Danielle. Yeah, got another one coming your way. Whoops. Finger pressed that the wrong direction. I want it to go towards the center. She says, awesome sauce. And Katie says, I'm working on a dinosaur charity quilt to send to Danielle. Awesome. 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 Incoming duck Danielle. That's cute. That's cute. Which, speaking of the charities and that, I do also have the charity group. Yeah, it's it always leaves me. It's the Friends of Captain Stitches from the from the heart. I've totally messed that up. But anyway, it's normally in the description box also. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because I did just get my first paycheck from YouTube. And as I told everyone, when I became monetized, that I never became a content creator to make any money on YouTube. That was not was not a goal of mine whatsoever. It is just that I love sharing and inspiring others in all of the quilting and needle arts. Also, that is why I became a content creator. Never to become monetized, never to, be one that goes for those high numbers in subscriptions or anything, just to be able to share my joy and my love of quilting and all things that have to do with stitching with others. But because I did become monetized, I did decide that anything that I do make through YouTube and through memberships, my charity is totally, everything that I do for charity is totally funded by me, myself, and I. So what I make on YouTube goes to my charity and to help with all of the expenses that are involved with that. So it was nice to see that check come in because I do need batting at the moment. But so that is what that will be going towards. I will be ordering more batting. I like that. Yeah. And Andrea says, LOL, I made 78 blocks that were going to her, but I volunteered to go ahead and put them together and send the finished top so it would save a bit of work. That's awesome, Andrea. And Danielle says, I'll be doing charity quilts on both my live streams this weekend. And tomorrow morning, Mama Jean, Captain Stitches, will be my host. Who's that? Do I know that person, Danielle? I think I do. But yes, I will be working on, well, if I don't finish this, I might be working on both of these quilts tomorrow. We'll wait and see how far I get along. But Oh, and I have several charity quilts right now that I need to get caught up on the long arm or the domestic machine. Some of them I do on the domestic, some on the long arm. I do not hand quilts for charity. Now I may have one in the past that I may have hand quilted or something and decide that, isn't I no longer want or something and I may give it away at some point in time, but no, I do not hand quilt. I would never get enough done if I was hand quilting those. And I have an appointment coming up at the VA, so I need to make sure that I have a few quilts to take along with me to that because I always take ones to the VA when I go. Yes, I'm sure you do appreciate that, Danielle, that Andrea decided to put those together into the top. That helps a lot. Thank you, Andrea. I'm fortunate. Well, I guess I was going to say I'm fortunate that I live in an area that there are many charities close by, ones that are national, international, and local, so that I don't have to send things out. And I am never at a lack of finding someplace that needs the quilts and items that I do, that I can just hop in the car and deliver them. Because I do also do the dresser girl. I've been doing that for a while, but there are ambassadors, one north of me and one south of me, that is within distance, so I can just go and drop them off. I do not have to mail them. We have two Ronald McDonald houses in my area. We have two children's hospitals in my area. We have the large one and the satellite one. So, and we have several cancer treatment centers that get things dropped off to them on quite a regular basis also. Always ends up looking lopsided to me for some reason on that darker one there, but oh, awesome. Donna was with you in the chat for a little bit last night on Sister Chicks Live. It was great to see her there. Awesome. I missed that one. I didn't get the notification for some reason, but I was waiting for it, and then I got busy and it was like, oh, the notification didn't come up, so I saw it after it was over. Well, I mean, I saw the notification. I haven't gone back to watch the replay yet. Yes, that is awesome. Good to hear that. She did not type very many words, but she did emoji comments a lot. Awesome. That's great. Great to hear. Yes, that's a start, June. Everyone was telling her how much they loved her and were praying for her, and she gave each comment a heart response. Awesome. Awesome. Great to hear. There are too many right now, things happening to people that I know. Things that definitely make you stop in your tracks and think. And Debbie says, okay, now having an early lunch at Chick-fil-A. Well, aren't you just kind to not share any with us, Debbie? Oh, I was going to say it seems early for that's because we don't eat lunch. My husband and I, we eat breakfast and then we eat one other meal later in the day. We do not have lunch. We eat closer to around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And that is our noon and evening meal combined. Yeah, I was gonna say, Terry says that sounds good, and Danielle send me a chicken sandwich, Mama Debbie. See what you've done. What did the teacher always say in the class? If you don't have enough for everyone, don't bring it, or you can't get it out and have it if you don't have enough to share with everyone in the room. I remember that. Things were different back in those days. I grew up in a town with no fast food restaurants whatsoever. We did not even have a restaurant. We had no place to eat out in the town that I grew up in. In fact, okay, stop. In fact, if we wanted, which I call it pop, I know some people call it soda. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. There you go, catch it. Okay. Oh, that's cute. But on Saturday nights, our treat was to be able to have a pop and a candy bar when we were watching TV together, which I grew up in a town of 600 people, a little, small rural community. So my mom would send one of us kids up to the only place that we could get it, which was the local bar. But they knew, they knew us and everybody knew everybody in town. So we'd come up with our returnable bottles, at that time. We would get our the pop that everyone wanted and the candy bar that they wanted and carry it back home. And that was our treat on Saturday nights while sitting together watching black and white little itty bitty screen TV. But those were the good old days. Must say, I do miss those times, and I do miss the close knit um growing up with the close knit community, feeling everybody, knowing everybody, not having to worry about anything at any time of living in a something's not right there. How did that get? There we go. That's what's wrong. I laid my block out wrong and I can never get it in the right place down there for you, but I had the one in the middle on the top there. So I'm looking at it going, something doesn't look right there. I'm glad that I caught that once again. But yeah, it was great growing up in a small town. I would give anything to go back and live in a small town now. As long as I still have my stitching cottage and my stash and my fabric and my machines. And All that. Have to have that. As long as I have that, I can live basically anywhere. Except I'm not a big city girl. Don't take me to the city and don't take me to the beach. I'm not a beach gal either. Other than that, I can be pretty happy. Yeah, we didn't even have a stoplight, Andrea, with a 5 minute rush time 2 times a day. My great uncle ran the only gas station in town and he sold soda pop and candy, and everyone hit his store after school. Yeah. Oh, awesome. I mean, if you got on your bike to ride bike, you could ride all over, all over town and never have to worry about. We rode out to the edge of town, which was the cemetery. We always said we were riding to the cemetery and back. Oh, and I remember we would get off our bikes along the way and hide in the tall grass in the ditch alongside the road. And then if we heard a car coming, we would wait, and as it was ready to go by, we'd jump up out of the tall grass to surprise them as they went by. What we did as kids. Oh, I'm not a city girl either. See, Terry, we're finding out we're more and more and more alike the more the chat goes on. I've always said I would be my happiest in the middle of the woods in a log cabin, no other homes, no other houses, nobody else around, with a river or a small lake with a little dock and a little canoe or rowboat. That would be my ideal spot to live. And Katie says, I remember when we got a stoplight, everyone complained about having to wait when nobody came the other way. Yeah. Thank you, Jean. I didn't see you pop in. Welcome. Awesome. This is actually fabrics from Henry Glass, an old collections for a cause fabric line. Yeah, it's a little different. I think there's just a couple that I had to throw in to add to it, but they're also Civil War reproduction prints, so still go together. But I think that the soft pinks and the browns go very well together. Don't always see that combination in a quilt for breast cancer. Doesn't it sound like heaven though, Terry? I think so too. And very, very limited social media. Yeah, it's like just quiet peace, listen to the birds and the wilderness and all that. And yeah, that would be ideal. Stock up on what you need as far as groceries and food and all that good stuff. And not have to leave, just sit there and enjoy. And of course, it would have to have a porch and a rocking chair, a wraparound porch and a rocking chair on every corner. So you don't have to move your chair as the sun comes. You just get up and move to the next chair on the next side and keep working your way around so the sun's not in your eyes. Katie says, I got my driver's permit at 14 so I could drive farm trucks on the highway. Yes. Remember, there was a lot of kids. I didn't grow up on the farm. I grew up in town, but the town was so small. It was still, considered a country girl. But yeah, always envied the farm kids because they got to drive the tractors and stuff around. Daniel says, growing up, the town I was in only had one stop sign in the middle of a town. Kids hung out in the gazebo in the middle of town. We had one small market, a gas station, a mom and pop soda ice cream shop. Yeah, we had a little drugstore. We had one little general store that was the grocery. And, if you needed thread and stuff like that, they had, some of that kind of stuff, comic books. But we actually had two gas stations, but I think that's because we were on Route 66. And okay, there I was just about to do that again. It goes on the other end. Phew, caught that. But we've got it pressed going the wrong direction also. See, that's what happens when we start looking up too often at the chat and stitching at the same time. That's when mistakes also happen. But so far I'm catching that. And Terry says, I do love to sit on my deck and watch the birds. Yes, which I have two turtle doves that have built their nest in the window boxes on the windows right on the front of my stitching cottage. So I hear them cooing all the time, but they're messy. And June says that she also got her permit at 14. Oh, her permit at 14, license at 16. Yes. And then Terry says, I have shades on my covered deck that I crank down when the sun is on it late in the afternoon. Yes, we have a front deck and a back deck, and both of them are covered. So, but depending on if you sit out on the front too early in the morning, you still get the sun in your eyes as it comes up. And on the back, if you're there too late, you get that sun as it's setting for that one period of time in your eyes. So it's like, yeah, you choose those times to sit on the other deck instead. And Andrew says, I drove the tractors and farm trucks, but we did not have to have a license. My stepdad was the cop, so he knew what we were doing. Well, my dad was, there was only two cops, and they were volunteer in the little town that I lived in, and my dad was one of them. And so, yes, he always knew what we were doing. It was funny. It reminds me of Andy Griffith because they actually, if they got a call, yeah, they ran out of the house and jumped into the car and took off. They didn't really patrol like they do, now. He was also a volunteer fireman. All those good things. And worked two jobs besides other jobs. Goodness, my dad was a busy guy now that I sit there and think about that and say that. But 5 kids back then, I guess you needed to be. I know that with that one, I have to use that one that's got this. Yeah. This fabric is one of the center ones on the other. So I always know when I have the one that's not that center, that's when I need to use that strip that's got that on there. So I'm not using it. That ends up side by side in one of my scrappy blocks. Not that it would be the end of the world if that did happen, but I'm trying to make sure it doesn't. Okay. They still have no stoplights in my hometown. Yeah, I haven't been back to my hometown for a long time, so I do not know since I don't live in the same state. It's 1,000 miles away, so and my parents are no longer living in there, so I don't get back there, and my sisters don't live there in the hometown anymore either. But my dad was the cop in my town. Yep. Okay. Okay. Now I'm off to finish my errands, get my allergy shots, pick up the kids, and back home to finish Andrea's pattern quilt. Phew. I got myself tired. Well, then I won't tell you what my plans are for the day, Debbie. We don't really want to wear you out. Oh, okay. Take care. Thanks for keeping us updated on where you are. Don't want to lose you. It's kind of fun sitting here reminiscing this morning, talking about childhoods and growing up. Usually something you do when you get together with family. So you are family. See, we're all just like family, discussing the good old days and towns we grew up in, all that good stuff. And I'm sure, we always go the good old days. I'm sure even though we look at it differently because of, the really, really different times that we grew up in, I'm sure that, you know, well, my kids didn't have the, electronics and stuff either. Mine are old enough that they didn't. But my grandchildren, I'm sure will look back, even though they live in such a different world, will have, the great memories also just in a different way than we think of. But we oftentimes think that they aren't, enjoying all the lesser things that we did growing up. But I think, you know, they still have that opportunity to enjoy and make and have all the great memories also. Life is all in what you make it. That you can control anyway. Like I say, there are a couple things, Donna being one that makes you take a step back and think, something like that can happen to any one of us at any time and you never expect it, and how it can change your life, which I don't want to dwell on that too much because it's too close to home. But there is something in my YouTube community, you know, and I'm not going to say much. And if you know what I'm talking about, please don't put anything in the chat about it, because it's not a thing that you have to be very, very careful on how you speak about it, because YouTube yeah, will punish you for that. So, I think, okay, I need not that one. Do we have one of the others? Oh no. Oh no, oh no, oh no. That's not good. That's not good. So we're going to end up with that fabric on one at some point in time anyway. Except we have some, we're going to do it this way instead. That'll work. But anyway, something happened to a YouTube creator that is in my community of ones that I watch in a different type of needle art than quilting. And I will just say that it is something very, very, very serious that is going on in our world today, unfortunately. Not not something that you want, to happen to anyone. And it does make you pause. All I will say, it makes you pause and really think on this particular thing that happened, whether you still want to be a part of the YouTube world and continue to be a content creator. Just saying. Those of you that may know what I'm referring to will understand that, I'm sure. Sure, I did check. And I remember when I was a young girl, says Andrea, I loved to sit around with the adult women and listen to them tell stories about the good old days. Yes, yes. And back in those days, I mean, people just stopped by, not expected, you know, never invited. They would just stop by, sometimes sit on the porch and chat or come in. And my mom always had a pot of coffee ready, and she always had cookies or bars or something to serve with it. And that was back in the day. Yes, we sat around and we listened. We did not talk. It was we listened unless we were asked a question. We were good kids and sat there and listened to the adults talk. We did not interrupt. That was a no-no. But yeah, learned great things that way. Sandra, where did I miss Sandra? There she is, in between the car and the flowers. I should know that. You usually add the flowers on there, Sandra. Good morning. Welcome to you. You're coming in on the end again. We are at 12 o'clock. Boy, the time has gone by fast today. It seems like for me anyway. I don't know about you with all my ramblings on and my reminiscing as we stitched these together today. But how many do I have left here? Three. I'm trying, but at some point in time, I guess I'm going to have to use that together. So we're just going to do it, and it's going to happen. There's no way around it. We had one of those front porches you spoke of. I have five brothers, so I got to sit with the women as they taught. Yeah. My dad always liked to sit with the women too. He'd sit with the women instead of and chat with them and what was going on with them a lot of times rather than the men. I remember that. Seen and not heard, Sandra says, LOL. Okay. Well, I'm glad you popped in, so I knew you were here. But I think I'm going to sew this one more block. I almost got all of them finished today, but I won't keep you any longer than what is needed. If you weren't here in the beginning, those of you that weren't here in the beginning, you may want to go and just watch the first part of the replay because I did show the quilt that I will be working on after this one, which is a little bit interesting and one of those that you would call a little bit of a challenge quilt. So you might want to go back just to check that part out and see what will be coming up. Along with all the other ones already going on, but it will be the major project undertaking. I call most of the other ones my mindless work. And also for those of you that are waiting for, which it's not May yet, but wondering about May's block for the block of the month, the block of the months are always released on the first Friday of the month during Stitch Tips and Chat, because that is when I will release it and then also go over showing you how to make that block. And so that will be coming up within the next few weeks, also a couple weeks, I guess. Or is that next week already? I'll have to check my calendar, make sure that I have that ready. So I am going to stop sewing for now so I can remove that and remove that. And here I am all by myself. I'm not all by myself. I have all of you wonderful, wonderful gals. And oh, Jim's not with us this morning. So I have all my wonderful gals with me this morning. And I so appreciate each and every one of you popping on with me during my lives and chatting with me. I know sometimes I seem like it. I feel like sometimes it can be boring and rather dull and drab, but you all always return, always seem to appreciate what I am doing and what I'm sharing. And for that, I am so thankful. And I really do enjoy each and every one of you and look forward to my time with you. And Andrea says, this is why I love the lives. It is fun chatting about stuff we have in common other than quilting and thread arts. Yes, I mean, we could be working on them and chatting about other stuff, during the time. So yes, it is. I enjoy doing that. Thank you, Andrea. And June says, yes, Andrea, makes you feel comfortable and like family. Yes, you are my family, good, close friends, all wrapped in that one. And if I could, whoops. Oh, well, that's not on. I didn't have to worry about bumping it. But here's your hug, group hug. There we go. Everybody's had a hug this morning. But and Denise is here, and thank you for the closed captioning. You are very welcome. I always have that on, and I do because I stream through Zoom. I have it turned on YouTube and the Zoom both. So whichever you find that you prefer, you can click, one or the other off if there is one of those that you prefer over the other. I always make sure that I have both of those on because I know there are those in my subscribers and lots in the community that have hearing problems of one type or another. So I always make sure to have those on. If I ever forget, and I don't because I turn them on when I schedule it, but if I ever do forget, don't be afraid to remind me very quickly in the chat and I will make sure that they are turned on. Well, thank you, Jean. My other Jean, you are a joy also. Yep, each and every one of you are a joy. Yeah, like I said, this is my time out because I'm homebound. I don't get to leave home except for very few things, the very few necessities of when you have to go out and get groceries or you have a doctor's appointment. That's the only time I leave home. So you are my family. You are my contact with the outer world. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if Jean was up there earlier, whether she just popped on and made a comment now because I missed her too. Wednesday is May Day. All right. That means Wednesday is also my older brother's birthday. But yeah, let's reminisce just another minute because I wonder how many of you others remember May Day the same way that I remember May Day. Growing up where I grew up on May Day, you made little May baskets that were filled with treats, and you went around the neighborhood to your rest of your kid friends and whatever. And sometimes, oh, it may be, something special for one of the boys that maybe you had a little crush on or something. But you handed out May baskets to all of your friends that you went to school with in town. And what you would try to do is you would knock on the door and you would leave it and run away. They weren't supposed to be able to see and know who was leaving the May basket. But we always, there were 5 of us kids, so we had a lot of May baskets to make. But I remember that was always great and awesome and to see, but you usually saw who was bringing it to you because you were watching, and sometimes you ran after the person that was leaving that May basket. But I don't know if there's, yeah, yep, flower baskets on May Day. Yes, we do that. But yeah, this was treats that you went and you made them up all pretty and did something special with them, and then took and dropped them off to your friends from school. And dancing around the maypole. Yes, we had a maypole in the park at my grandparents, the town that they lived in. And we would always do that and twirl around it and everything. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so yep, June says we did that too. Was fun time. Yep, until you got when once you started getting a little older, then it was, yeah, it could get a little awkward at times because like I say, there was always that, a few boys that maybe had a crush on you and a few boys you had a crush on, and yeah, that delivering of that May basket could get a little tricky then. I just remember that. But or, you were trying not to let your mom or your siblings, know who you might have a crush on, and not to get teased or whatever, because they could sometimes kind of tell that way. I remember that also. But okay, so thank you everyone. I hope that you enjoyed the chat this morning and sharing with me, as I got quite a stack of the blocks. I only have, let me see, we have one, two. Yeah, we only have two of the 9 patch blocks left to piece, and then I can start on the other part of the quilt. So I should be able to get finished with this one in record time also. Just means I'm adding on to those stack of finished ones that need to get on that long arm back there. But awesome. Couldn't sneak up on our house since we had a mile-long driveway. I guess not. And they'd have to go mighty quick to get away, didn't they? I never heard of May baskets. I think we should restart that tradition. Sounds so fun. Yeah, it would be awesome to restart that tradition. However, you know how this world is today. Even Halloween trick-or-treating has gotten a little difficult. So don't know exactly how that would work. But hey, amongst your good trustworthy friends, it would be awesome to do that again. I think as adults it would be fun to do. So we left the May baskets on the doors of windows to brighten their day. All right, awesome. Yeah, well, because ours were candy and goodies. I don't think we do that because the birds would have gotten it. Woohoo, Mama Jean. What was the woohoo for there? But it's something I said that I already have gone past and don't know for sure exactly what the woohoo was for. But okay, so again, we will end this, everybody. I'll give you just a little chance to say goodbye to anyone that you want to say goodbye to. But again, thank you for sharing your morning with me this morning. And I hope that you have a great day stitching. Don't have to have a date with Jack, unless that happens to be your husband's name or your significant other's name, then go ahead, have a date with Jack. Other than that, we'll hope that you stay away from him today. So take care, everyone. Have a great weekend. It is the weekend coming up. I'll see some of you on Danielle's tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. That will be good times also. And remember, as always, in the meantime, I can keep you in stitches. Bye-bye, everyone.